Hi, this is Terry Stevenson of the Builderall team, and in this final video in this training series, we're going to learn how to edit the tablet and mobile versions in Cheetah. Our developers have really outdone themselves by creating the Cheetah Builder, which easily lets you build pages using drag and drop technology that are really the fastest on the internet. They've now added an amazing features that let you create those mobile pages easily as well. As we know, it's really important to have mobile pages that are fast and responsive across so many different devices, and our developers have developed a very specific type of technology that allow us to do that with the ease of using the Cheetah Builder. Let's take a look at our home page that we've created for the Sweet Zone 2. And you can see as we look down, it's complete. We have it just the way we want it on desktop. To edit and customize our page for mobile devices, both the mobile and the tablet, we're going to start with the mobile. Now, of course, if you remember, this is the desktop view, and we know that because the desktop icon is highlighted on our main menu. We're going to come over here to the mobile view, and we're going to start with the mobile view. You'll always want to start and customize your mobile view first. So let's customize this view and take a look and see what Cheetah has already built for our mobile pages. And as we scroll down, you can see that there are definitely some customizations and changes we need to make it even more appealing. As you look at how it's laid out on the mobile right now, you can see several things, like perhaps we want to bring this burger menu up to the top panel and have the logo and the burger menu on the same line. Our next panel down right here, it doesn't look too bad. And here we have our next panel down. And in this panel, you can see when we highlight the panel right here, we've got an image and 4 boxes, and that really looks pretty good. If we scroll down here, we could probably definitely want to do a little bit more customization with the image size and the title size, perhaps adjust these so we have adjust the size of our titles, this title, and it looks like our paragraph here could stand to be just a little bit larger. That's a little bit hard to read. And on our button, we'll want to adjust the headline button. Let's move down. And we can see on this panel, the next panel down, we have all of our icons in a row, but our labels are all out of order. So we'll want to shift this order. And then we have the next panel, which doesn't look terribly out of place. That actually looks pretty good. Moving down to our testimonial, we can do, that looks pretty good. There's very little we need to do to that panel. But then on this panel, it looks like some adjusting on the fonts and text sizes might help improve the look of it. And then when we get down to the footer, we could leave this just the way it is and it would be fine. But what if we wanted to maybe have the Sweet Zone and the paragraph, a column here, and another column with our contact us information on the same line, and then on and the newsletter subscription right below it. These are all options that we might want to consider to really make this optimized for mobile. Now, how do we begin to do that? First, let's go back to the desktop and let's think about what we want our global mobile header to look like. Here we are on the overview page for the Sweet Zone 2 website, and we're about to create a mobile global header. So let's come over to our global elements on that left-hand side menu, come down to headers, and let's create a new header. Let's name this. So we'll name this SZ2 mobile header for Sweet Zone 2 mobile header, and we're going to save it. Now let's edit this header, and it opens up and we have a brand new canvas. So let's add the personal header that we created for the desktop version. Add personal panel, open it up. We're going to find the SZ2 header and add it. We're going to preview this. Let's preview this. And you see we've got our logo centered, but we need to center this mobile element underneath. I think that'll look better. And let's select our menu, right click, come down to advanced, and here we can create a margin. Let's move this left right setting here. You see if we increase it, we can move that menu underneath our image. So let's take a look at that. Move our card out of the way. We can also decrease the distance between the image on top and the end of the panel on the bottom. So let's decrease it to 3, and we'll decrease the bottom to 3 just to see if we notice any difference. So we can click on this, and now let's preview it, but we need to, that's much better. So let's go back to the desktop here. Let's save this. Now let's try adding our mobile header to our home page. First we have to republish it because we made some changes over here to our global elements. So we'll republish, and then let's check our settings on our home page. Go down to settings. Let's see how this looks. We're going to set our header settings. We're going to set the global header for our desktop and the mobile header for our mobile. And we're going to save those header settings. So we save it there. Now let's republish. Now let's open our home page, and it brings in our header. So let's take a look at the mobile view and see what it looks like. And yes, we have our logo in the center and our menu in the center. Now let's take a look at the order. If it scrambles up the order, we can always move these text box. I already did a little editing on this panel. And I just shuffled these text boxes up and down using these arrows. You can see in this next panel, we have one panel, but it has this text box stacked on top of this text field, stacked upon this text field, and then the button. Now, this Sweet Zone ice cream parlor really should be a little larger, so I can edit this element, and let's go ahead and increase the size of that text. We can go to general settings and adjust the size on mobile. Let's go ahead and make this fit on 2 lines. Let's see how that looks. Let's make it just a little larger maybe. I think I like that. I think I like having Sweet Zone ice cream parlor as the main focus. So we have this field. So we have a text field stacked upon our main text field, and then another. Let's make this one just a little larger too. Let's select this text field. This is real easy to do. We can use the pencil icon, or we can right click to bring up the box, and we can just adjust the size on mobile with the slider, just like that. And you see that's a little too big. So I'm going to go ahead and use the arrows and make this the size I want. And that looks a little better, I think. So we can close that. This looks good. And our button, we might have to adjust the headline. I think I did at one point. And that panel looks really good. Let's move down and take a look at this next panel, which is a long one, but it looks really good. It has the image and all of our benefits. So we'll leave that as it is. Here on our next panel, let's go ahead and select that image and make it a little larger. We can edit it and increase the size just a little bit. Let's see. That looks pretty good. And I think we'll also, you see this image is on a field, on a line by itself. You can see here's our invisible box that's got all the other elements. And what the editor is doing, it's stacking this image on top of this box. It's reading this like it's got two different columns stacked on top of each other. And this one has an image, and then this one has this box right here that encompasses a headline, a paragraph, and a button. We can decrease the space between the image and this text line by selecting the image. Let's right click and come down to lateral spacing. Here we can adjust it left to right, right here. Right now it's all the way over to the one way. Let's bring it into the center, and you can see that makes the image a little larger. It's altering the image as we brought it in from our desktop. Now let's decrease the white space between our image and the text box below it and above it if we want to, by eliminating it here at the top and the bottom. It just depends on what looks good on your panel. Let's take a look at that and see how it looks so far. That looks really good. Select this text box and right click and bring up that box. Check the lateral spacing and see if we can decrease it a bit on the top and the bottom. Now let's take a look at it. And you can see that just makes a tighter panel. We have less white space. So that looks pretty good for our mobile optimization. On our next panel down, this is the desktop version. And I wanted to bring you back to take a look at the desktop version so you can kind of get a feel for understanding how to avoid some of these problems as you're designing your page. On this panel, we have that background image for the background of the panel, and then we have our title. Then we have 5 sets of an icon image with a label text field. And then below that line of icons, we have our button. Now, as you can see, when we go to the mobile version, scroll down and find that panel, and you can see everything's all kind of shifted up around, and we have all the icons on the bottom. We have these labels scattered in between and the button here at the top. So one way to avoid that kind of issue when you're building panels is to make sure that you put those elements that you want to group inside of a group, you put them together into an invisible box. Let me show you what I mean, and we'll go back and fix that in our desktop version. Here we are on the desktop version, and as you can see, as we scroll over our panel, we can see the image for the icons and the text field, but they are not contained inside of an invisible box. And that's the reason they get scattered and all mixed up when the Cheetah Builder pulls them into the mobile view. a way to avoid that is to put each one of these icons with its associated text field inside of an invisible box. Let's add an invisible box. So we're going to add a box and we'll choose this box. It's not quite invisible yet because it's got that purple border, but we'll take care of that. I'm going to move it over here just to get it out of the way because I want to size it appropriately. I'll select it and I want to make it just the right size to hold these elements. Let's see if that'll work. Drag it over here, and I think so. Yes. So we need 5 of these. So there's 1, and then I'm going to duplicate this. So select it, and there's 2, again, 3, and again, 4, and again, 5. So now we have 5 boxes. We're going to put our elements inside. Take that image and center it inside that box, as well as the text label. Let's move this down. Grab the box and drag it down. And we'll make sure this image is centered by selecting the icon image and centering it. And then centering that text element as well. So we'll have to center the text element first. Let's go ahead and move that down a little bit just so we don't have that problem. I'm going to go ahead and move this down and center it. And now we're going to move our image and rest the top of that image on the top of that button, center it. And there's our first one. So let's take our second box and do the same. I'm going to move the image up and I'll center it. And I'll bring in the text label. And I'll center it, and then I'll move my invisible box. It's not quite invisible yet, but we can do that in a minute, and bring it into position. So now let's get our next box and set it up. Center it, bring in the text, center it, grab the box and bring it into position. And this one really needs to be in the center of the page because that's our middle icon. So I'm going to select this box, this entire box, and I'm going to center it. And there's in the center, which tells me I need to move this one over. So I'm going to grab that box, pull it over a little bit, space it out. Now let's bring in this box and do the same. My text, center that text field, the icon, center it. Grab the text box and bring it up. Space all of these out as soon as we get them in boxes. We have this last box. Bring in the icon image. Now let's grab that box and position it on the page. Now let's remove on the boxes, we're going to remove that border. We're going to select the box. Right click, we'll find the border. We can do it several ways. We can go down to 0 and that eliminates it. So let's just do that. That's the easiest, I think. Select the box, right click, go to border. We'll do that on each of these, each box. Once we get the icons situated the way we want, this one looks a little off to me, and it's the one that's supposed to be in the center. This one must be off. Once we get everything looking the way we want it, we can save it, of course. Definitely want to save it. Just doing that alone, putting those icons and text fields into invisible boxes on the desktop, let's take a look at our mobile view and see how it helped out with our mobile view. So let's select the mobile view. We'll scroll down and you can see how we now have our boxes. And isn't that interesting? We've got our box. They have switched places inside the element, but at least they're grouped together. So let's fix that. Let's go ahead and select the image. And this is the image, so I'm going to select it and click that up arrow. and that puts the label below it. So I'm going to select this image and move it up. Let's scroll down, do the same thing, that icon and this icon and our last icon. So now we have our elements in our icons grouped together properly, but our button is out of order. So let's select our button and we're going to move it down into the proper position by clicking the down arrow. So we'll click down until we get it into position. Down, and it moves it down another panel, and we can do that. And now we have our button on the bottom. So let's take a look at that, and that looks really good. We have our title and our icons with our different categories and our button. Now let's move down to the next panel, and you see it grouped these properly because we have invisible boxes. So we can check and see if we want to do any kind of editing. So that looks really good. Let's move down to our testimonials, and I think our testimonials look great this way as well. Now let's take a look at this contact, and that definitely could use a little help. We have our headline banner is just a little bit too big for our button. So let's click on this button and right click and bring up the button and check headline, and let's change the font size on mobile. How about 18 point? I think that looks much better. Now let's close that and take a look at it. And there, that really looks pretty good. So we're now left with our footer. How does our footer look? Our footer looks really good. It's stacked because we put them in invisible boxes, and we have a Sweet Zone paragraph with the contact us information below it and our newsletter subscription. So as we scroll up now, our mobile version is looking great. It really didn't take that much time. The only thing that we really needed to do was create those alterations in a few of our panels, and we're good to go. And we're going to go back and check that desktop just to make sure we haven't made any changes to our desktop, but our desktop is looking good too. So take a look at that, and there you go. Now, that is how you edit and optimize your home page. But don't forget, you still have several other pages that you're going to just repeat that same process. It's just a matter of going through the pages and doing exactly what we did on the home page, and you now know how to create a website, a full website, from templates and from blank pages. Plus, we know how to optimize it for mobile and begin to collect messages from our visitors through the contact page, and even get leads with your newsletter subscription. So this has really been an exciting journey of starting from the very beginning and creating a website using these beautiful templates, but we didn't stop there. We learned how to really dissect a page like this and figure out how we can use pre-made templates here in the beautiful Cheetah Builder and create just about anything that we want. I hope you've learned a lot from this training series, and I look forward to seeing you in the community in some more training videos. Now, go out there and build something beautiful with Builderall.